This morning, I have invited back the CEO of Australian Workforce, Danny Senna, and Australian Workforce Event Manager, Rebecca Ramsden, to speak to us about the job application process. Good morning and welcome to Sri Lanka Morning Show.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Now, Danny, the last time you were here, you gave us a general overview of how you apply for jobs. What are you going to talk about today?
Today we're going to specifically talk about the resume and also the cover letter that need to go along with it. Also, Rebecca going to talk a little bit about the event that's coming up very shortly, and that's the process for today.
Okay, great. So today I'll give you an example of, say, a bookkeeper. Can you take us through the process of how you would apply for a position like this, and what are some of the key things that people need to keep in mind?
Now, the first thing when you're applying for a job like that, take the actual copy of the advertisement and keep a copy of that. We want to highlight some major keywords in the advertisement, such as if there's a software package, such as MYOB. Let's say MYOB is the keyword. So we're going to highlight that and we're going to get ready to write the resume and the cover letter now.
Okay, so I have in front of me a few words from the job application. What's the next process now?
Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to create two things. One is our cover letter, the other one is our resume. So we got our keywords next to us. What we're trying to do is repeat this keyword few times in our cover letter and our resume. Now, you may ask, what's the difference between the cover letter and resume? Why two? They both got a very unique function. To me, cover letter is a selling document. It's like a selling brochure, whereas a resume is your specification. Let's say imagine you're selling a TV and you don't want to just send the specification of the TV to the people that who would want to buy the TV, but you want to say an advertisement to go along with it, as in what's good. So similar with the cover letter we're going to use the cover letter to sell the product, whereas the resume is your specifications.
Okay, so if we use the bookkeeper as an example, what are some of the key points that I need to make sure that I mention in the cover letter as opposed to what I mentioned in the resume?
Now with the cover letter, with the bookkeeper in the advertisement, already we got highlighted some keywords. Now in the cover letter, we want to mention something about that particular company who's doing the advertisement. So something good about that company, something like, I heard about, your company's credentials, a little bit mentioned. Then also that when it's come to the second part of our cover letter, we want to mention about how well we are, how good you are with that particular skill. Let's say a software called MYOB, and it might need some administration skills that you have had. So you want to mention in the second part of the cover letter how good and how fantastic you are with those your key skills. And thirdly, you want to mention that if you were hired for the job, that what could you bring for the company and what could you deliver more than anybody else. So you have to highlight yourself and say, well, if I were to be hired, I could do this and that. So, that's where you're going to be stand up against the rest.
So now we've got the cover letter down packed for a bookkeeping position, for example. Now what about the resume? What do we need to make sure we mention in the resume that then goes back with the cover letter?
Yep. Now you got your cover letter, which is your sales piece. Now we're going to do your specification sheet, which is in this case is your resume. Now in the resume, we don't want to make it too complicated. We don't want to make it a long resume because the employees do not have a lot of time to read that. So we want to keep it as simple as possible, but we want to bring in our key points into our resume, especially our keywords. Remember I said in my earlier interview here that it's very important to repeat our keywords because in these days it will be picked up by the electronically. So having the keywords there will give you the relevancy to the software that they're automatically. So therefore what we're going to do is basically in the first part of it is to me is that being able to put your biodata, right, your basic information. And secondly, you want to bring in your key skills and your education. And thirdly, we want to mention about our job experience. Not too much of them. And if you've done the 20 different jobs over the last 10 years, you do not want to mention all that 20 because it's give to the employer different impression that you are unstable. So you're not staying in one job for too long. You've been going through 20 jobs. So some people think putting a lot of things in the resume is, well, employer's going to say, well, I got a lot of experience. So, but you have to be careful. So no more than 2-3 jobs. It's a key jobs, and especially if you've done those jobs as a longer duration, like 2-3 years at least, it shows when this person starts to do a job, they do that job for a few years. So the thirdly, or the very lastly, what we want to have is your references. I know some people that say reference at request. I really don't see a point in that, because employer might want to check your reference even before he call you for an interview. Now, if the reference, the numbers are not there, and he can't do that, he might just decide to put your resume to the side to start with. So therefore, you don't even get an interview. In my view, I think it's good to put the references right there. So all the information that employer need right there to make that decision. I think that is very important.
So when you apply for these jobs and you've got a great cover letter and you've got a great resume, you obviously want to stand out from the rest of the applicants that you're competing against. What are some of the key things that you need to remember so that you can stand out?
I am so glad you asked that question. A lot of people forgetting that the little things they can do to stand out from the rest. Now I know that they have probably seen thousands of their resumes over the years. Not even 1% of the people actually use a bit of color. Right? People go to great length to pay extra money for a color advertisement. But when you get the opportunity to advertise yourself in your resume, you don't use the color. It doesn't even cost you. Right? So I would like you to put a little bit of a subtle color in a few places, there's a highlighters, kind of area that I actually got the sample on our website, on the company website as well, if you wish to have a look at. So I would like you to put a little bit of a color into that. And also that I would like to put a color photo, a proper portrait photo in there. Some people might say, hang on, why would I want to put a photo? Believe me that I've seen that situation when I interview, if I interview 10, 12 people for the day, and you actually forgotten their name. But if you got the photo in the resume, especially in color, you do remember that person. Now you do want employer to remember you, don't you? Right? So that is a way to improve your resume. And also in these days, it's an electronic stage we're living in, electronic world. So having a profile like LinkedIn, which is a linkedin.com, and so these kind of things are the professional website where you can create your profile. There's nothing wrong with create that profile and actually put that link in there.
Now, Rebecca, being the event manager, you have an upcoming event. It's called the Melbourne Job Seeker Night. Can you tell us more information about this?
Sure. It's a great opportunity for job seekers. It's a free event. If you come along, you'll learn some great resume writing skills and also interview skills. We're going to have a couple of guest speakers, one being a professional resume writer, the other one being a life coach that will give you some great interview skills for the face-to-face job interview.
So if people want more information or want to attend the event, what do they do and what's the best way to go about this?
Okay, so the event is being held on Tuesday the 28th of October at the Dandenong Civic Centre, starting time at 6 p.m. If you'd like to come, you need to register online at australianworkforce.com.au, or you can call the office on 1300 795 965 for further information.
Thank you, Danny and Rebecca, for coming here and telling us and giving us some helpful hints about resume writing.
Thank you, Hasani.